Do you feel like your pharmacy job is draining every ounce of energy that you have? Like every shift slowly chips away that passion that maybe you once had when you graduated, but it's gone. You're not alone. And believe it or not, this frustration that you have may be your biggest opportunity yet. In this video, I want to show you how to turn job misery into a path forward into a career that you actually want. I've been there. I know what it's like. You know, I got a message the other day in my inbox, and it was something to the effect of, Alex, I really hate my job. I feel trapped, and I don't know what to do next. When I read that, it took me right back, feeling nothing but rage when a patient called me near closing time. You know that feeling? Like when you're about ready to go and then someone comes and asks you a question and you're just like, I just want to go home. I just want to play video games. I don't want to think about what I just endured today. For me, that's when patients became problems instead of people. Every single thing about my job made my blood boil. I remember one shift I was so burnt out and completely done that when a patient called me, I had pure rage starting from that call to as I was going out of the building into my commute home. And I remember telling my wife, you need to not have the kids hang out with me. I need to go for a walk. I need to leave the house because I'm so frustrated. It's not even frustration. It was just straight up rage. And here's the crazy thing about hating your job. It infects everything like sepsis. It goes in throughout the entire body. It's not just like the 8-hour, 12-hour shift that you're at work. It's Sunday night anxiety. It's waking up with knots in your stomach. It's that heavy feeling in your chest as you're pulling into the parking lot and you walk into the building. This pain starts bleeding into your health, your life, your relationships, everything. And here's what I want you to understand, and it's really important. The moment you're in right now, it could be the best thing that's ever happened to you. Now, I know that may sound absolutely insane or a little mushy gooey, but stick with me here. When I was going through this myself, I felt ashamed. I felt stupid. Here I was with a doctorate, all this education, all this debt, and a family now depending on me. And I'm thinking, did I just get duped? Did I just make a massive mistake with my entire life? I felt like I had a huge problem and I was the problem. But I learned something really incredible in this process. Hating your job isn't a failure. It's actually just feedback. It's your mind and your body screaming at you that something needs to change. There's actually a phenomenon going on here that's called in psychology learned helplessness. It's when you try to make a change on something so many times, but each time you try, it doesn't change the situation. So you just stop trying. You learn that it's actually easier to just deal with the pain than to try and fail again. If that sounds familiar to you, it's because it's what's happening in so many professions, not just pharmacy. So let's talk about what you can actually do about this. I've got 4 strategies that not only helped me in my situation, but have worked now for hundreds of pharmacists that I've helped. This is going so much smoother. First, and this might sound completely counterintuitive, but you need to pause. And I mean really pause. Like not just a weekend off, but a real break. Maybe it's FMLA or administrative leave. Maybe it's medical leave. Because let's be real, burnout is a legitimate health issue. You can get diagnosed with it. And that means taking a 2-week vacation where you actually turn off your phone and you don't answer emails, you don't answer texts. You tell them you have to figure it out on your own because that's not on you, that's on the company and the team. And if you're thinking, I can't possibly do that, there's just no way, Alex. Well, that's probably a part of the problem because that's either imposter syndrome or perfectionism, or maybe it's just like toxic dependency that has been built up in the work environment. And it's been built up over time to make you think that like everything will fall apart if it doesn't have you. If that's true, then you need to be paid a whole lot more than what you're being paid. Just quick story. I had this toxic manager early on in my career who made every day pretty much miserable. Every time I got a message from her, my heart rate just spiked through the roof. Everything I did was wrong from her perspective, and the stress was unbearable. When they finally stepped down from the role, it was like this weight lifted. I had pause. But here's what's interesting. The job didn't really change. What really changed was how I approached it, how I saw. Because this person still messaged me, but I saw them differently. You know, lots of people talk about burnout, and your company may be telling you things that you need to do in order to help your mental health. You need to sign up for their therapy or whatever. But the key, the solution to burnout is not doing more therapy, meditation, affirmations, whatever. It's actually doing less. The whole reason why you're burned out is because you've been doing so much. So to create pause, to do less, allows you the space to really reflect and see, is this where I want to be? Which leads me to step number 2. And that's to find some pockets of joy. I know, it sounds like more motivational speaker mumbo jumbo, but hear me out. Even in the worst possible job, there are moments that can remind you of why you're doing this, why you even became a pharmacist, or why you're serving these patients. My moment of joy was patient education. I started to find myself taking more time with it and kind of getting lost in the conversation, making sure that both I was educating the patient, but also just having a good time, asking that person questions so it wasn't just a monologue of me jabbering on at the guy or gal. But making actual connections instead of just rushing through that information really made me feel like I have purpose, I have meaning. Making jokes, getting to know the person, it didn't fix everything, but it made these little pockets of moment of satisfaction throughout my day. And sometimes, even if the activity is just for a few minutes in the day, it can sometimes turn the whole day around. It can be really enjoyable. The source of this strategy is actually Undercover Boss. I remember this episode of the CEO of this major waste facilities management company where he had to go on a waste collection trip where this guy's job was just to empty out porta potties. Now, I can't think of a more disgusting job, to be honest. It's awful. You're dealing with literal crap all day long. But this guy had such a likable personality. He was just so full of joy. Like, he was happy. And this really impressed the CEO. He was like, wow, this is someone who like enjoys this kind of work. It was actually a sweet story because at the end of it all, the CEO brought in that really happy worker and basically gave him a giant promotion to help them kind of create this kind of happiness and culture within the entire organization. It's the small moments that truly make a big difference. Now, strategy 3 is about the environment. The hard truth is that if you're in a truly toxic environment where nothing you do feels like it ever make a difference, where your suggestions fall flat on deaf ears, and where you're just counting down the hours, you need an exit strategy. You've got to get out of this environment. You have to unlearn helplessness. This means a real commitment to escaping the environment. This is honestly the first thing. So many people have desires and wishes in life, but no strategy and no commitment. You know, I find in life that wherever your commitments are is where action tends to be. And so in my previous unhealthy life where I weighed the most I ever weighed and I was burnt out, I had no real commitment to my well-being. I went to work, I was unhappy, and I tried everything I could to get out of the situation through searching for a job. But as a consequence of it, my health began to deteriorate. And so what I've learned is that in order to make all of life good, you have to understand what your commitments are. And so rather than whether it becomes a choice if you're going to make your situation better, a commitment just is. Just as an example, I'm married. I've made a commitment to one woman. I'm not really playing around with the idea of breaking that commitment. Because if I if I was, I would hurt one of the closest friends that I ever had. I would break her trust, and I would potentially break even that relationship. It just is. And so I work to maintain that relationship. I work to engage in it and have relationship and a strong sense of love and trust and respect in the relationship. And this leads me to tip number 4. You need a plan. Just like in my relationship and my commitment, where we try to go on at least every other week, coffee dates and dinner dates occasionally, you have to have a plan for your life and your work. It's not a someday maybe plan. It's like a real plan, because here's the truth about major pharmacy employers right now. Things are not exactly getting better. The major corporations, all the retailers, and many of the hospitals are laying off people. They're closing branches, or they're at the risk of closure. The industry is changing, and waiting for it to get better is kind of like waiting for the Titanic to fix itself. But here's the amazing thing. You have options. You have way more options than probably what you realize. I've seen pharmacists pivot into incredible careers, 10, 20 years, and even 30 years into their work. Some stay in pharmacy, in fact, the vast majority, but others find a perfect niche where it's like teaching wilderness medicine to park rangers. I'm talking about you, Ashley Hedges. Others completely leave the profession and absolutely thrive in doing what they're doing. But no matter what, my vision for the future has gotten much clearer. I want to help 10% of pharmacists change their careers into jobs where they actually are respected and they enjoy their work. Do you know what would happen if 10% of the pharmacy workforce just left their bad jobs and to start new and better careers? These big companies would start losing serious money. And that's when real change happens, because they'll realize what is happening and what they need to do to attract the next level of workforce into their jobs. This isn't just about changing an industry. This is about you changing your life, having a plan with tangible action steps right now, not tomorrow, it's today, something small, even if it's just sending off one message to someone. Here's what I know after helping hundreds, now almost 3,000 pharmacists change their careers. Landing your dream job isn't about luck. It's about strategy. And that's exactly why I created my Offer in 6 workshop. This isn't your typical career workshop. It's a proven blueprint strategy that's helped pharmacists land roles they love in less than 6 months. And in not just any role, it's ones where they feel respected, valued, they appreciate the work, they enjoy what they do, and they are happy doing it. At the end of the day, if my entire life is all about just helping pharmacists be happier, it's a good life for me. So here's what you need to do next. First is to click the link in the description to join my Offer in 6 workshop. And second, this is crucial, join our private community. You know why most career changes fail? Isolation. But in our community, you have now hundreds of pharmacists who get it, who are on the same journey as you or have already made that transition. And finally, there's one important thing, is leave a comment below about what your roadblock is and what you think you need to do to overcome this obstacle. What's that voice saying that's stuck in your head? What's your biggest fear about making a change? I enjoy reading your comments, and I love getting your feedback about what the kind of content we're making on this channel and what we can do differently to make each video better. I want to help you break through whatever's holding you back. The next 6 months are going to pass by, whether you take action or not. And the question is, will you still be in the job that you're at, one that's maybe making you hate pharmacy altogether? Or will you choose to be thriving in a job that's actually fun? Your career should work for you, not against you. And hating your job is not the end of your story. It doesn't have to stay that way. It might be the beginning of something much better. And for me, I had to go through that pain in the 4.5-year-long journey I went through to create my career as to where it is now, something that I truly love and enjoy. And hey, if you found this helpful, I'd love it if you would like it and click subscribe, because we talk about all this stuff all the time. So until I see you in the next video, stay curious and take care.